Today I will be sewing a 1960s blouse and a pair of shorts in 4 days. Yes, 4. The fabric I have chosen for the blouse is a thin pink cotton. The pattern I am using for this is Simplicity 4056 in View 2. For the shorts, I found a very pretty pink duck cloth, which is a very thick woven fabric. I found it in navy and it looks just like denim, but is so much more comfortable than real denim. On the first day of the project, all I could get done was cutting out the shorts. I have made this pattern twice before, and both times they didn't fit me like I wanted them to. So on the first pair, the shorts were way too short, and I had made them to wear to a golf tournament, and they were too short and weren't comfortable. And when I made the second pair, the crotch was way too long, so it kept ruffling up when I walked around. So this time, I made sure to shorten the crotch, lengthen the hem, and add some extra room to the waist because they were just a little too tight. On the second day, I had a much earlier start, so I was able to get quite a few things done. On vintage pants and shorts, they used to have 8 darts and 2 on each panel. I did get to mark them and pin them in place the day before though, so it went along much quicker the next day. The darts are one of the only ways to know the front from the back, so you don't put them on backwards. And the ones on the back of the shorts are larger than on the front. That's how you can tell them apart. Then I stay stitched the top and side seams of the shorts. This is very important, especially on a fabric like this that frays a lot. I don't back stitch stay stitching because the stitching will usually be locked in with the other seams. The crotch seams in this pattern are super easy. All I had to do is sew the front and the back crotches, then go over them again a little farther out for reinforcement. Closed sewing patterns make altering very easy because they have a line across the pieces where you can fold it up. Then I had to clip the seam about halfway up on both pieces so that it bends better. If I didn't clip that, the shorts would be hard to put on and also uncomfortable. These shorts are so quick. The next step was to already sew the side seams and the underneath seam. I sewed one side all the way down, and the other side I basted it about halfway down, and then sewed it with regular stitches. At this point, I knew I was going to finish the shorts on that day. Now is on to the zipper. For this specific pattern, I like to use a placket closing. First, I pinned the zipper to the inside of the basted seam, and then basted it down on top of that seam. Then I flipped the whole project back to the outside and sewed around the zipper again, but this time with a matching thread and a regular stitch length so that it stays there. All that is to be done after that is rip the basted seam back open and take the other stitches that kept the zipper in place. I took the waistband to the ironing board so that I could fold under the seam allowance. Then I attached it to the inside of the shorts. This pattern doesn't say to add any interfacing to this piece, so I just went without. I had used interfacing for this pattern before, and I found that it helped with waistbands on the pants, but I don't think that the shorts need it. You could add it if you wanted to, but I don't. Waistbands are probably my favorite part of sewing shorts or skirts or whatever it may be. They're just so satisfying. I folded over the edges to sew them down. Then I pinned the top edge over the other stitching and top stitched that down. On day 3, I cut out each piece of the blouse. I really like using my cutting mat on my desk, so I was very happy that the pieces were easily cut with my rotary cutter. This pattern has not one dart. I was so surprised when I was making it the first time because literally all mid-century patterns have darts. It also has a pocket and 4 buttons. I chose the type of buttons with no holes on top because they're just much prettier. I don't know what they're called, but they have 2 loops on the underside that you sew through, and yeah, no holes on top. The pattern also has short sleeves that fold under to make a super cute cuff. The collar is just your normal everyday collar like you would see on any regular blouse like this. I started sewing the blouse with stay stitching around the neckline and shoulder seams. This is to keep it from stretching out over time. Then I folded over the front center edges about 1/4 inch so that I could then fold them under again and sew to form a facing for the buttonholes and buttons. It said to add interfacing to the front edges, but I've gone without many times before and the blouses always turn out great. Now it's time for the pocket. My favorite way to hem that top edge of the pocket is to fold it to the outside and top stitch it. It just gives it so much character. I have a little tool that creases fabric, so I tend to use that to fold under the edges of the pocket. I could baste it down after creasing it, but if I did, I feel like it will leave marks from where the basting once was. This pattern has instructions for the back of the blouse that I'd never seen before. First, I had to gather in between notches on the lower back twice and tighten the stitches until it fit between the notches on the yoke piece. Then I sewed those edges together. Afterwards, I sewed the shoulder seams and added another yoke piece to the back. Next up was the collar. The way I made this collar was to simply put both pieces on top of each other and sew down the edges. Then I trimmed the edges and corners and pressed the whole thing. Then I sewed the inside of the collar to the neck edge. The reason it is done that way is so that you can trim that seam, then fold the other edge over like so. Then I took the front facings, folded under the neckline pieces, and sewed them. Then I hemmed the whole blouse and moved on to the closure. First, I sewed in the 4 buttonholes. I was worried about the thread color and thickness because I had been using thin white all-purpose thread for the whole thing. I did end up liking it a lot though. Like I said in the beginning, I'm using some white buttons and did find out the name. I think they're called shank buttons. I marked the front of the blouse with a plus sign to show where each button would be sewn on. Then I hand sewed them on top of those pluses. I waited until I was already hand sewing to put the metal hooks on my shorts. I didn't film it, but for the first time I tried fabric loops instead of the metal eyes. They turned out so much better and were so much easier to sew than the metal one. Now it's time for what you all have been waiting for, the reveal. Thank you so much for watching. I enjoy every second of making these videos for all of you. Please leave a comment to tell me what you thought of the video, or you could give me some ideas for new videos. Please subscribe to never miss a new video.